They saw my car leave and they said, you know what? Now is the time to spite Josh. So obviously, we got back from our trip in the outback, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was a long trip, 3 weeks. We'll talk more about it in a later episode. But I got back home. Finally, after all this time, I'm ready to go to bed. Now, little context here. My neighbors at my previous place before we moved were, how should we say, annoying as hell. And perhaps I'll tell that story another time. TLDR is, they threw parties every Thursday night. And who the hell throws a party every Thursday goddamn night?
Why a Thursday?
Mate, if I knew, I'd be a happy
Who
man.
goes home on a weeknight and goes, you know what I need after a Thursday? No, we won't wait a night. Party.
Thursday party, please.
It was like that though. But anyway, that was the old house. So we finally moved, and this was before we went away on the trip. We moved, everything seemed fine. All the neighbors were lovely. Right next door, we have a neighbor who's a lovely mother we met through an awkward interaction at start, but it was fine. I'll tell that another time. Jesus Christ. So many facets to this story. But anyway, my direct neighbors, the ones that live right next to me, are both lovely families, no problems, right? And then there's the neighbors at the end of the road. It's a bloke in a high-vis with a girlfriend. I think that's probably the nicest way of describing their dynamic. They argue a lot, whatever. Not a problem, none of my business. So we've got a driveway, of course, and my parents have 2 cars, and I have my car. My parents park their 2 cars in the driveway, and I park my car right outside our house on the street, obviously, like you normally would. And before I left, my car fit perfectly on that street, and my neighbors down the road, they have 2 cars, and they park their 2 cars on the street in front of me. They didn't use their driveway for anything. I don't know why. I mean, would you guys say that's kind of stupid?
It sounds incredibly stupid.
Well, yeah,
You have a driveway. Oh, no. I'm just too good to use it.
Yeah, it's dumb. But look, I have no problem with that either. If you don't want to use your driveway because reasons, sure, whatever. There's still plenty of room on the street for me to park my car there as well. Not a problem. So my car's sitting there parked. I go away on the Outback trip and I hand my dad my keys. And I'm like, Dad, can you just park this in the garage further down, because obviously I'm not going to use my car while I'm there and I don't want it sitting on the street while I'm away. So then I come home. And despite everything being perfect beforehand, the way the cars are positioned, all our cars could fit perfectly and nice on the street. For some reason, my neighbors have decided to move their cars from their usual parking spot on the street slightly backwards. And what this means is that there is not enough room for me to get my car on the street without blocking my entire driveway. Now, you're probably thinking, oh, well, maybe there's a reason that they did this. Well, there isn't, because I've walked up and down the street, and hopefully I'll get some photos and remember to put them in the final edit of this. But there is literally just maybe a 2-meter gap at the end of the street, and maybe half a meter where my driveway is. They have perfectly positioned their 2 cars into the very middle of this only space available in that area to ensure that no other car could get there, despite my car fitting there perfectly beforehand.
So how much did they move their cars by?
Maybe half a meter, maybe. Both of them half a meter, something
so
like
dumb.
that.
It's an intentional choice there, just to spite you, I think.
Well, it really does feel that way, Max. It really does feel that way. But anyway, I get home and immediately I think, okay, they've probably just parked awkwardly. First day back, I'm not going to worry about it. But then I go to the gym and I come back. And as I'm driving into the street, I see both of them move their cars into the street. And I'm thinking, okay, great. They're going to park. It's going to be fun. And they park in the exact same spot where it's awkwardly positioned that I can't park my car there.
You sound like, those old blokes that always complain about how, this young chap has parked his car in my driveway again. That's what you sounded like right now.
You may be correct, all right? But god damn it. Like, I'm not asking for much here. I'm just asking them to be a nice human being. But anyway, look, I say, you know what? Fine. I'm going to park my car on the other side of my driveway, which kind of screws over my other neighbors. But guess what? It's now a free-for-all because I'm tired of dealing with this. So I park my car there. And you know what happens? They then get their second car out of the driveway. This is my other neighbors I'm talking about. And park it there when I go to the gym. So now I have to park all the way down the street because there's no other parking elsewhere. And I don't want to park outside the front of someone else's house directly.
When you say all the way down the street, do
Yeah,
you literally mean all the way down the street? Or are you saying 2 meters?
Okay. So obviously I live in the street behind our dear friend Harris, right?
Yeah.
You guys know the turn into his street from my street?
Yes.
All the way down there. That is where I am parking now.
Oh my god.
Because there is no room elsewhere.
Still to
and I
this
don't.
day?
Yes! Because I got back from my Outback trip and these bastards refused to move their cars into... They have the room. They have plenty of room. We worked perfectly fine beforehand. Both my parents' cars in my driveway, me on the street behind their cars. But for some reason, they saw my car leave and they said, you know what? Now is the time to spite Josh. Now is the time to find the perfect, utmost perfect position to fit my cars in front of his so he can't park his car.
Have you considered this was a coordinated attempt from your parents to make your life harder? Has that...
An inside job, you call it.
Yeah, an inside job, yeah.
Look, I don't want to call it an inside job, but there is an extra part to this, alright? Which makes me suspicious. So, before the Outback trip, I don't remember when this was. I want to say middle of December. I don't know if it was a whole area or maybe it was because I think I messaged you at some point, Luka, about it. But the power lines went out. There was no power. And so I went door to door because I wanted to know if it was just an issue at our house or if it was a regional thing. If there was something going on to determine what the problem was. And I went to my lovely neighbors' doors with families and they weren't home. So immediately I go to the end of the road, right? And I go to that house that I'm referring to and complaining about. And knock on the door. And the guy is super uncooperative. He's like, oh, what do you want? What are you doing? And he's wearing his high vis. He probably just got back to work to his credit. But, yeah, he was just super uncooperative, didn't give me any answer, so I ended up having to go across the road to the older gentleman that lives over there and get an answer from him. And so I think, something at the back of my head thinks, he has recognized my voice, recognized who I am going to my car, and has distinctly decided to pick me to screw over and ruin my life.
So you've got war, and then you've got... Above is significantly worse. I think we can all agree. You've got your parking situation. War's your parking situation. Oh, honestly, this does sound like cause to really get global attention on. Honestly, yeah. I think we need to get Sherlock Holmes amongst this because who the hell knows what this could be.
Well, look, you're right, Max, because here I am complaining about it on a goddamn podcast. This guy is probably... He probably already hates me. He's going to listen to this and say, that motherfucker. And then immediately park a third car on the streets. And then I can't even park at the end of the road. That's what's going to happen.
You're going to the next street, bucko.
Well, look, okay, my genuine question to you guys here. Is it so much to ask that if all of you fit your cars perfectly on the street beforehand, and they have a driveway that they're not using for some inexplicable reason, is it too much to ask that you use up the space on the road so that I can also continue to park my car there? Is that too much to ask?
Here's what you can do about it. Yeah, exactly. Nothing.
Fuck's sake. Well, yeah, there is nothing I can do about it, but like... Okay, Luka, when Connor drives his car into your bins, alright, and it pisses off the neighbors, do you not feel like, maybe Connor just shouldn't do that? Because that's how I feel about these people parking there.
No, I completely disagree with that. Connor should do that more often.
That man has zero care for anything. When he went to pick me up, I look out and just turn around, turn down to my phone, and my father has just walked out the door with me. And now he's... kabonk. And as I see my red bin topple over, and my father just stare me in the eyes, if looks could kill, is all I'll say.
Did you explain to your dad that Connor is a, how shall we say, special specimen?
It didn't need explaining. It was implied.
He knows implicitly. And if you want to hear the story about how Luka's mum pranked our friend group, click the video on screen now.